is nothing wrong with your television. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are now controlling the transmission.
Hello, darlings. Today we're having a special episode, of course, because it's a mystery. Gasp!
Yeah, we're gonna do an Enneagram enema of into the bowels of the internet to solve a mystery, an Enneagram related mystery.
Oh, yes.
That probably isn't actually a mystery and might just be a conspiracy theory made up on a bunch of old message boards. So before we begin, I guess River Phoenix was R.I.P. 4-wing 5.
God rest his soul.
And Johnny Depp is a 4-wing 5. And they both have sexual in their stacking, which amplifies probably the 4 envy and jealousy. So, if you don't know, River Phoenix overdosed at the Viper Room.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
By himself. But we will solve it. We will get to the bowels of this mystery.
This might not be fit for the internet. In 1993, when the 23-year-old River Phoenix died, I was with a friend near the Viper Room where the event happened. Leonardo DiCaprio and Michael Hutchins of In Excess were also there that night when Phoenix was taken to the hospital and police were arriving. Hutchins asked people to hide the drugs from the police. In the turmoil, many of the clubgoers came out of the Viper Room and were talking and told people that a young actor had overdosed. And the one who gave him the overdose was Johnny Depp. This was even speculated in the media at the time. Strangely enough, people never asked Johnny Depp about River Phoenix's death, and all the tapes from the Viper Room CCTV magically disappeared the night on October 31st, 1993.
On Halloween night!
Yeah, if you're a 4-wing 5 and you're going to die, it's going to be on Halloween. It's dramatic effect.
For sure.
Spooky.
So everybody will remember.
Yeah, and ruin a holiday for everybody.
Of course.
A few short years later, Depp became embroiled in a lawsuit with his business partner at the Viper Room, Anthony Fox, one of uncountable lawsuits Depp has been involved in over the years. In 1999, Depp's business partner, Anthony Fox, accused Johnny Depp of fraud and hiding millions of dollars from him through shady accounting. In 2001, Fox was meant to testify in court in front of Depp, but suddenly went missing before the court date on December 19, 2001, and was never seen again. How convenient.
He was never seen again. Did you hear?
So the reason that we think he could have potentially murdered or had a hand in, that's probably graphic, River Phoenix's death is that 4s don't want other 4s to exist.
Of course not. There can be only one. And also, they were also upcoming actors. I mean, and also, have you looked at their faces? Beautiful faces.
That's true.
Only one.
Their beautiful faces. Look at that. Yeah.
Four guys.
River Phoenix. Of the acting family, the Phoenix family, with Joaquin Phoenix and Summer and
yes. And he was actually there that night. This poor boy, he made the phone call to the police. He sounded very distressed.
Inside the club, River has been suffering badly from a drug overdose, vomiting and passing out. At first, Rain and Joaquin weren't aware of just how bad things had got, but as his condition worsens, they drag him outside for some air. As soon as River's body hits the street, he goes into seizures. The vegan with the squeaky clean image is now dying of a drug overdose. the people around him at that time, it was a kid, his brother, young kid, Joaquin, and he's dying in front of them, and they don't know what to do. And the people in the bar don't know what to do. They watch this celebrity move around. There was this famous person. Do we say something is happening to this famous person? The fame itself kept him from getting what he needed to live. Whether the fact that River is a celebrity, or the fact that drugs are involved, or the fact that they're terrified by this sudden turn of events, the result is the same. No one calls for an ambulance for a full 5 minutes. Finally, Joaquin takes action. All 911 calls are recorded. This is Joaquin's call. Okay, calm down a little bit, okay? What's the address where you need it? It's Sunset and Larrabee. It's at the Viper Room. He's laying on the cement. Is he breathing? I don't know. The last I checked, they said he was breathing. Is he fucking breathing? He's breathing. Who's with him right now? My sister and two deep. Sister? Okay, can you talk to her from where you are? She's trying to go around the mouth. Please, calm down, okay? Sir, calm down.
It's kind of awful.
It's so dramatic.
River is lying still. His
I
seizures
just
have
mean I
stopped
feel
and his
guilty.
breathing is
I
shallow.
have to-
No, the drama. It's perfect.
Keeping wildly out of sync, his heart is failing, pumping little or no blood. He's running out of time.
River Phoenix was lying on the sidewalk, unresponsive, with a couple of friends around him. And he was pulseless, was not breathing, had no heart activity. We immediately started CPR, intubated to control his airway, and started an IV and a series of drugs in an attempt to restart his heart.
Back at the Hotel Nico, two of River's closest friends, Dickie and Abby Rood, have no idea their friend is in trouble.
We got a phone call at the hotel, a hysterical phone call. I can't remember from who, whether it was his brother or his sister. We jumped in the car and rushed up the street. It wasn't that far away, but it was a terrifying shock. Terrifying shock to see your best friend lying on the sidewalk with paramedics standing over him and a crowd of people around dressed up in Halloween costumes, and it was just incomprehensible for me.
Having failed to restart his heart, the paramedics prepare to transport the lifeless young actor to the closest emergency room. News of the incident has spread into the club. Flea runs outside and demands to travel with River to the hospital. But it's too late for River Jude Phoenix. He's pronounced dead at 1:51 a.m., October 31st, 1993.
Well, here's the one thing that ties the Flea. Okay, this is from Crazy Days and Nights, so this is like a real portal to hell, of celebrity hell. Could be one of my favorite websites. I still like it, but so this is Blind Item. So this might be like gobbledygook, but I have often speculated that this A+ list mostly movie actor, Johnny Depp, was responsible for the death of this at the time A+ list mostly actor, River Phoenix. There is an alternate theory that this permanent A-list musician, so Jean Frusciante, or however you say it, either gave the actor the speedball that he OD'd and died from, or took one with him. I still think the actor, Johnny Depp, was responsible because he didn't want anyone dying near him. This one named A-list musician, so Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, says that it was the other musician who was responsible, and that it was only because the one named musician, Flea, talked to the family of the actor that no one sued. It was the same. So it was Flea that got John Frusciante into rehab and eventually sober and back with the group they both starred in. So this is also just a theory.
Allegedly.
But it just worked out really well for Johnny Depp.
What was the relationship between Johnny Depp and the owner of the property of the club?
Oh, he was a co-owner, right? Wasn't he a co-owner?
So here's one piece of forensic analysis for you based on my extensive experience analyzing forensic matters.
Oh yes.
And
So one
crime.
thing that's of interest to me is the fact that there was no video that was preserved from that evening. So this is
Yes.
1993. So
Mm-hmm.
security closed circuit cameras at that time would have been connected to a VHS recorder, and that those VHS recorders would typically be on a 30-day or like monthly tape over. So every single year more, or every single month more or less, those would sort of erase and sort of they would tape over themselves. So that would be one reason why the video is unavailable. But if Johnny is the like in tight with the proprietor, or he's a co-owner, then he might be in a position to know that, because he could know that around this time, you know, things could be captured on video that would then be erased before anybody would be able to
Get their hands on
ask
it.
for them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Like the police, for example. Mm-hmm.
like the police.
Okay, here's like another comment. But these are all just people theorizing on the internet, but whatever. Depp had something to do with it. After John Frusciante gave River the liquid speedball, River asked Frusciante what was in it, and then called out to Depp that he was dying. Depp kicked him to the curb without calling 911. Depp lied and said he did not know River was at his club. Why would River say that to Depp? Because he had something to do with it. He was jealous of River. Both John Frusciante and Johnny Depp should be in prison. Both have blood on their hands. I don't trust the crowd River was hanging out with. He deserved to live his life. He turned 50 this year. So this is August 23rd, 2020. Rest in peace, River. Nobody can harm you now. I love you, and we will fight for your justice till my last breath. Here, here. Ice Phoenix. Well, here, actually, I wonder if they were competing for roles.
Haha, good. Look into that.
Johnny Depp's a bad tipper, also, just as a side note. He left a guy 40 cents.
Mm-hmm.
That actually doesn't make sense. He seems really generous, but anyway. Okay, what was I going to Google? Oh, River, Phoenix, and Johnny Depp feud. a lot of great work is happening today. Oh, it haunted him. Johnny Depp was blamed for River Phoenix's death. Oh, I didn't know that was actually widely a thing.
Yeah, I even saw a policeman. I think the policeman that you saw before, in a written interview, I think he said that he never trusted Johnny Depp after that, or supported him. Mm-hmm. But
well, Johnny Depp, we know Johnny Depp's a big druggie, but one thing that was in the video we watched a few minutes ago is that River Phoenix, which we know was a vegan, but was he not into drugs really? So it wouldn't necessarily take a big dose to kill him.
Yeah, I think his girlfriend Samantha Mathis had said that he didn't really do any of that stuff, so she was surprised.
Seems like Johnny might have slipped him a nada for a cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you handle this? Well, if you can't, then you suddenly are not a real four.
There can only be one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Integration to one.
Yeah, handle that, motherfucker.
Samantha Mathis, River's girlfriend, was also hysterical. She's never spoken out about what happened to River Phoenix that fateful night until now.
He had gone into the bathroom, and when he came out, Samantha saw him being sort of thrown out of the club by a bouncer. At the time, she thought he'd actually gotten into a fight. It wasn't until she got outside that she saw him on the ground convulsing. She started screaming at the man who was out there with him, asking him what happened. And the guy actually turned to her and basically told her to back off and said, "You're spoiling his high." It was at that point that she frantically started looking for Joaquin and Rain, couldn't get back inside, finally got back inside, got them outside. At this point, River had been on the ground for minutes having seizures. According to Samantha, she said that on the ground, on the sidewalk on Sunset Boulevard, he took his last breath.
Samantha reveals she didn't believe River Phoenix was into drugs, but that she knew he was on something that night, saying,
"He was high in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. I was in way over my head." But she is convinced and steadfast that he did not get the heroin that killed him until he walked in the door of the Viper Room.
So why has Samantha waited 25 years to speak out?
Samantha has talked to her therapist about this, but for the most part, she really blocked a lot of it out because it was so traumatizing. It wasn't until recently that she came across the film, The Thing Called Love, that they did together, that everything started sort of bubbling up again. She said that she felt like it was the universe telling her to really open up about River.
If I had a normal family
Very nice of her.
and a good upbringing,
Yep.
then I would have been a well-adjusted person.
Samantha even has a vision of what life would be like today for River Phoenix had he lived.
Just imagined him being kind of a regular actor, acting and directing and being an environmentalist and trying to save the planet. She kind of sat and thought a little bit about it and just said, oh gosh, wouldn't that be nice?
It's so sad.
Yeah, it's all much proof that, of course, Johnny Depp was very, very jealous of him.
Well, also River Phoenix was in a band, and he's better at making music
Yes.
than Johnny Depp is.
Mhm. Yeah, and Johnny Depp wasn't.
His band is so cute. It's making me bummed out.
Not my style.
Funky. It's too funky for you.
My scalp and my hand are the only injuries I'll stand if I can. When I fall, forget me. Will you respond?
This does make me think he has a 7 fix. I think this almost reminds me of that Frank Delane guy that we typed, because it sounds like that kind of actually. So
if I float in, yes, welcome me back with a marching band. There's a hole in the ozone, so life's worth giving up. And when I do now, won't you please forgive me?
What is this alien music? Sort of reminds me as like stripped down Talking Heads kind of, but I like Talking Heads.
Yeah, I also like Talking Heads.
It's not like Talking Heads at all. Well, I don't know. Is there a way to solve this mystery in the next 10 minutes?
I think that Depp knew that there was not going to be a video recording, so he slipped them a not a for a cocktail because just can't have the sexual competition.
Mm-hmm. And also in his field, it was it was like close competition.
It could have just been like negligence or something. That it seems very possible.
Him like seeing an opportunity to sort of screw him over, but I mean maybe not, but it could have just been negligence. You're right.
I mean, if he doesn't really do drugs and he's being given a speedball, that's almost just by definition going to be negligence at a minimum, right?
Yes.
Because that's way too much drugs.
Yeah, I guess the theory is either that he is responsible or that it was the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Well, they're all of them were like super fucked up, like Flea and like they're like hitting it hard,
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. If everyone's messed up, then no one's really doing it intentionally. But you could realize and then try to hide it, which doesn't make you a murderer.
Well, they're covering their own ass to try to avoid drug charges or manslaughter charges or something.
No, that definitely
criminal negligence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they like owe him a whole bunch. His family could sue for like a shit ton of money. I'm surprised nobody did. Maybe they were paid off behind the scenes.
They were also like kind of like a hippie love family, so probably not. Their jam is probably not suing celebrities. But Courtney Love says Johnny Depp once saved her from an overdose in 1995 at the Viper Room. Maybe his guilty conscience.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He's probably very
trying to right his wrongs with his get that karma back in.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess he was one of the most famous young movie stars. And he was a 415. Tender, sexy, sweet, wounded. I mean, arguably way more interesting than Johnny Depp. A hippie vegan pacifist. I love Johnny Depp, by the way. I'm not like, even if he is a murderer. Well, I guess it's not.
Me too.
Bob, he said, I don't feel so good. I think I'm ODing. Forrest writes that Phoenix got a second wind and waded back into the crowd. A few minutes later, someone shouted over the music to call 911. So yeah, it could have just been like chaos. And then yeah, they got rid of tapes if it implicated someone that sold him the drugs or ignored him or something.
Or they knew it was on tape over. And remember, October 31st, that's the last day of the month. So if you've got it on a monthly tape over, then the tape would turn over that night.
Oh,
That's
well,
that's a very large clue right there.
I guess we'll never know.
The mystery is still unsolved.
But we know there's motive.
Of course. There can be only one for.
I wonder if it's Four's like dark negative energy though. It was almost like they couldn't exist in the same space. It was like some like universal law that canceled itself out.
Yes. Yes. He channeled the gods or the demons to help him and create a speedball.
Johnny Depp manifested it with his hateful emotions.
With his secret hateful emotions.
You know what though? I think it's 4 and 3s who are the most hateful. I'm just gonna ask, was River Phoenix murdered? Ooh, interesting. Okay. The King and the Storm.
Ooh, you pulled cards. Of course, that's how we do it here. In Enneagram Investigators. Tom. What did the cards tell you, my dear?
Well, I almost want to say I interpret this as, well, look, he's got like a thing in his hand. This is just maybe like someone took drugs and they couldn't handle it. It created chaos.
Yeah.
Is that Johnny Depp saw himself as the king, and yet River Phoenix caused such an energetic storm that he simply had to take matters into his own hands.
Yes.
Oh, I like your interpretation.
Yes, me too.
And the mystic.
The truth shall forever be buried in the
Viper
shrouds.
room, in the concrete walls of the Viper room.
Does the Viper room still exist? So we can't go do a seance?
That would be amazing.
I'm sure like so many River Phoenix, like horny chicks have gone there and thinking they're channeling him. I used to follow this psycho woman on Instagram who would post that like the ghost of Michael Jackson had sex with her each night, and then she'd post these stories about it.
So, darlings, goodbye and thank you for watching our greatest Enneagram detective mysteries and trying to solve with us the mysteries of 4. Was it jealousy? Was it the crime of passion? Or was it? We shall never know.